My name is Natalie Whitmore, and tonight my world is falling apart completely. The dining room feels like a courtroom where I'm on trial for crimes I didn't commit. Victor stands at the head of the long wooden table like a judge ready to sentence me. He holds a white envelope in his hand tightly, gripping it like it contains my fate. My mother-in-law Eleanor pushes a thick folder across the polished table toward me. Her nails are painted bright red and perfectly manicured. Medical proof, she announces loudly so everyone in the room can hear her clearly. Natalie can't have children. She never could. My husband Adrian sits right next to his father without looking at me. He won't hold my hand or even acknowledge I exist. My 12-year-old daughter Leora sits beside me, small and terrified. She squeezes my fingers so tight I can feel her shaking. Victor clears his throat dramatically. Everyone stops talking immediately. Tonight we discover the truth about Natalie, he announces in his cold, hard voice. Let's confirm once and for all who Leora's real parents are. The words feel like knives stabbing into my chest repeatedly. My daughter hears everything. She hears them questioning if she's really ours. I should have grabbed Leora's hand and walked straight out that door. I should have left when Victor locked the dining room doors. But I stayed frozen in my chair. 12 years ago, everything felt completely different in my life. Victor welcomed me into his wealthy family with warm smiles and generous hugs. At my wedding to Adrian, Victor stood up during the fancy reception dinner. He raised his expensive champagne glass high in the air for everyone to see. A daughter at last, he said, looking directly at me with what seemed like pride. Welcome to the family, Natalie Whitmore. Everyone clapped and cheered loudly for us. He paid for our entire wedding without any hesitation at all. The beautiful flowers, the elegant cake, the live band playing music, everything was his generous gift to us. He told everyone at the reception that I was family now. Real family. I thought I had finally found the place where I truly belonged in this world. My real father abandoned us when I was only 6 years old. My mom raised me completely alone after that terrible day. She worked 2 exhausting jobs just to pay our bills and keep food on the table. Victor's approval felt absolutely amazing to me back then. Like I had finally made it in life. Like I was good enough to be part of something special and important. I thought he had chosen me because I was worthy of his family. Because I deserved to be loved. I didn't know he was watching me carefully the whole time. Testing me constantly. I didn't know every kind word was part of a test. 1 year after the wedding, I still wasn't pregnant yet. Adrian and I weren't particularly worried about it at that point in our marriage. But Victor was definitely very concerned about it. He brought it up at every single family dinner we attended together. He said he wanted to help us start our family soon. He knew a really good fertility doctor, he told us one evening at dinner. The absolute best fertility clinic in the entire state, he insisted strongly. Victor personally made the appointment for me himself without even asking. He even said he would pay for all the expensive tests and treatments we might need. I was so grateful to him for caring about us so much. I trusted him completely without any second thoughts or hesitation at all. Victor brought the test results directly to our house himself one quiet afternoon. He sat down across from me in our living room with a serious expression. His face looked appropriately sad and sympathetic for the bad news coming. I'm very sorry, Natalie, he said softly, shaking his head slowly from side to side. You're infertile. You can't have babies naturally according to these test results. He pushed the official-looking medical papers toward me across the coffee table. Adrian immediately started crying when he heard the devastating news about me. He put his face down into his hands and sobbed loudly. But Victor didn't cry at all during this terrible moment for us. He just sat there calmly watching me fall apart completely. He watched my hands shake uncontrollably as I read the doctor's report. He watched all my dreams of becoming a mother die right there. 2 years later, something miraculous happened that changed everything for us. I discovered I was pregnant naturally without any medical help or intervention at all. I was absolutely overjoyed and excited beyond words about this unexpected miracle. I thought everyone would celebrate this wonderful news with us happily. But when we shared our happy announcement at Sunday dinner, Victor's entire face changed dramatically. He looked genuinely angry in a way I had never seen before in my life. Really, truly angry. "That's medically impossible, Natalie," he said sharply, his voice cutting through the room like a knife. "The specialist said you absolutely can't have babies at all. This simply can't be real or accurate." He insisted firmly that I needed to take another test right away at a different clinic. He demanded that a different doctor check and verify everything immediately. And Adrian actually agreed with his father's demand without any hesitation. My own husband nodded his head in agreement with Victor. "Maybe we should double-check just to make absolutely sure," Adrian said carefully, avoiding my eyes. That hurt me so deeply I could barely catch my breath at all. That was the very first time Adrian chose his father's opinion instead of supporting me completely. It was a small moment really. Nobody else at the table probably even noticed it happening at all. But I felt it deep inside my chest and soul. Something important cracked between us that Sunday evening. Like thick ice breaking on a frozen winter lake. And Victor had deliberately caused it to happen. When Leora turned 5 years old, people in the family started making strange comments about her. At big family parties and holiday gatherings, relatives would study her face very carefully and whisper, "She doesn't have our distinctive eyes," Uncle Paul observed once at Thanksgiving dinner. "She's so much taller than anyone else in our entire family," Aunt Claire added at Christmas dinner. "She must look like someone completely different from us." They always smiled pleasantly when they said these hurtful things about my daughter. Like it was just innocent curiosity or harmless jokes that didn't mean anything. But Adrian gradually stopped defending her against these comments from his family members. He stopped firmly saying, "She's definitely mine without any question." He stopped protecting our precious daughter from their cruel implications about her parentage. And around this same time, I started sleeping alone in the guest room every night. Adrian would come to our bedroom hours after me each night. He stayed far away on his side of the mattress, creating distance between us. He never touched me or held me anymore like he used to do before. We completely stopped talking about anything real or meaningful in our lives together. We only discussed boring things like bills and schedules and doctor appointments. Leora started noticing that Daddy didn't hug Mommy anymore at all. She asked me about it once with confused, worried eyes that broke my heart. I didn't know what to tell my innocent daughter about what was happening to us. One night I couldn't fall asleep no matter what I tried to do. I went downstairs quietly to get a glass of cold water from the kitchen. As I walked past Adrian's home office, I heard him talking on the phone inside late at night. His voice was unusually quiet and low. Almost like a guilty whisper that he didn't want anyone to hear. "I just need to be absolutely sure about this situation," he said to someone on the other end of the line. "I need to know if it's actually true or not." I froze completely still in the dark hallway outside his door. My heart started pounding so hard I thought it might burst out of my chest. Sure about what exactly? No, what specific truth was he talking about? I stood frozen outside his closed office door in the darkness. My hand was shaking so badly I almost dropped the glass of water I was holding. I desperately wanted to burst inside and demand answers from him immediately. But I was too genuinely scared of what he might actually say to me. Because deep in my heart, I knew exactly what he meant by those words. He was seriously questioning whether Leora was really his biological daughter or not. He was doubting me as a faithful wife who had never cheated on him. After everything we had been through together as a married couple. After 5 years of raising our beautiful child as a team. He didn't trust me anymore at all. Something fundamental broke inside me that lonely night in the hallway. My mother died from aggressive cancer when Leora was 7 years old. After her sad funeral, I had the painful task of cleaning out her small house alone. In her bedroom closet, I discovered a locked metal box hidden away on a high shelf. Inside were important papers she had carefully saved over the years for some reason. Birth certificates. Faded old photographs from decades ago. Insurance documents. And then I saw something that made my blood run cold with shock. A copy of my fertility test from that clinic so many years ago. But the results printed on this copy were completely different from what I'd been told by Victor. This report clearly stated I was perfectly healthy and normal in every way. It said I could definitely have babies without any problems at all. There was absolutely nothing wrong with my reproductive system according to these actual results. I sat down hard on the dusty floor of her closet. I held both conflicting reports in my trembling hands, comparing them carefully side by side. Same clinic name printed at the top. Same exact date listed on both documents. Completely different results and medical conclusions. Someone had deliberately changed my test results and lied to me about something so important. Someone told me I couldn't have children when I actually could. Only one single person had arranged that appointment for me at that specific clinic. Only one person had seen those results before I did. Victor. My wealthy, powerful father-in-law had intentionally destroyed my accurate medical records for some terrible reason. I called the fertility clinic first thing the next morning after finding those papers. I asked the receptionist to please send me my original medical records from 13 years ago. The woman on the phone apologized politely and said the head doctor had retired suddenly 3 years ago without warning. She explained that all the paper files were packed away in storage somewhere off-site now. The computer files were unfortunately lost during a major system crash last year. Nobody could locate or retrieve the original results anymore, she said apologetically to me. It seemed far too perfect and planned to be just a coincidence at all. Too convenient that everything was suddenly gone without a trace. Like someone powerful had deliberately erased all the evidence on purpose to hide the truth. I spent many hours doing careful research online that day. I discovered that Victor owned a significant part of a large medical supply company in the state. The exact same company that sold expensive equipment to that specific fertility clinic years ago. He had important connections there with the doctors and staff members. He knew influential people in that medical world who owed him favors. He could have easily changed my records without anyone questioning him about it at all. He could have efficiently made sure nobody would ever find the real truth about what happened. But I had absolutely no concrete proof of anything he'd done to me. All the evidence had been professionally erased from existence completely. And Victor was far too powerful and intelligent and connected to fight against. On Leora's 12th birthday, Victor came to our house carrying beautifully wrapped presents for her. He brought one expensive gift wrapped in shiny silver paper with a big bow on top. It was a premium DNA ancestry kit that I recognized from television commercials. The really fancy kind that costs hundreds of dollars to buy in stores. This will be so much fun for everyone, Victor said with a big, warm smile on his face. He handed the box directly to Leora with both hands carefully. You can learn all about where your family comes from, sweetheart. Your heritage and ancestors. But he wasn't looking at Leora when he said those specific words to her. He was looking straight at Adrian with meaningful eye contact that said something else entirely. My husband smiled right back at his father knowingly, understanding something between them. That sounds really interesting and educational for her, Adrian said with obvious enthusiasm in his voice. His voice sounded too happy about this simple birthday present. Too eager and excited for just a gift. My stomach immediately twisted into tight, painful knots. I felt genuinely sick to my stomach. This wasn't about learning family history or having innocent fun at all. This was clearly a carefully designed trap that Victor had planned perfectly. Victor was deliberately creating a perfect reason to test Leora's DNA publicly in front of everyone we knew. And Adrian was actively helping him set it up without caring how it would affect me or our daughter. I desperately wanted to snatch the kid away from my daughter's hands right then and there. 3 long weeks later, Victor called the entire extended family to his large mansion on the hill. All the aunts, uncles, cousins, and grandparents came as commanded by him. Everyone gathered in his enormous formal dining room that evening. The same elegant room where we celebrated Christmas and Thanksgiving every single year as a family. But this clearly wasn't any kind of celebration or happy occasion tonight at all. Victor stood at the end of the long table looking very serious and grim. He held some printed papers in his hand like they were important evidence in a trial. The DNA results came back from the laboratory, he announced dramatically to everyone present. The room went completely, utterly quiet in that instant. Nobody moved or even breathed. Victor looked straight directly at me with cold, hard eyes full of accusation. Adrian is not Leora's biological father according to these test results. His words echoed painfully in my head like gunshots. I couldn't catch my breath at all anymore. I felt dizzy and disoriented, like the room was spinning. Adrian stood up slowly from his chair beside his father. His chair scraped loudly against the hardwood floor in the silence. He didn't reach out to take my hand for support or comfort. He didn't tell everyone gathered there that this was completely crazy and wrong. Instead, he asked a question that absolutely broke my heart into a million pieces. Then whose child is she really? The entire room started spinning wildly around me. I couldn't see straight anymore through my tears. And my innocent 12-year-old daughter heard her father say those devastating, cruel words out loud in front of everyone. Victor pulled out my old fertility report from his folder with a dramatic flourish. The fake one with false results that he had created years ago. He held it up high so everyone in the room could see it clearly in his hand. Natalie was officially told she couldn't have children 13 years ago by medical specialists, he reminded everyone present in the room. This pregnancy never made any logical sense whatsoever from the very beginning. Adrian stared at me with unfamiliar, cold eyes that I didn't recognize anymore. His eyes were distant and accusing toward me. Like he was looking at a complete stranger he'd never met before. Like he didn't know me at all anymore after all these years together. Then he did something I will never, ever forget for the rest of my entire life. He slowly removed his wedding ring from his finger with deliberate, painful movements. Right there in that room in front of absolutely everyone watching us closely. In front of his judgmental parents and all his relatives. In front of our traumatized daughter who was watching everything happen. I need some space away from this situation, he said quietly but very firmly to me. He didn't explain anything further to me or anyone else in the room. He didn't offer any comfort or support whatsoever to me. He just emotionally walked away from me completely in that single moment. That single moment hurt worse than anything else that had happened to me. Worse than Victor's elaborate lies and fake reports. Worse than the fake DNA test results he'd created to destroy me. Because it clearly showed me that Adrian had already decided in his mind that I was guilty of cheating on him. Adrian moved out of our house the very next morning after that terrible dinner gathering. He went to live in Victor's luxurious guest house on the estate property. He hired an expensive lawyer immediately to handle the legal matters for him. He filed official papers for a temporary legal separation through the courts. He said he needed extensive custody tests done before he would even see Leora again at all. My daughter came to me crying hysterically one night after he left us alone. Tears streamed down her young face continuously without stopping. "Is Daddy going to leave us forever, Mom?" she asked me in a broken, trembling voice. Her voice was so small, scared, and heartbroken that I could barely stand it. I held her tight against my chest, trying to comfort her somehow. "No, sweetheart," I lied to protect her innocent heart from more pain. "Everything is going to be okay eventually, I promise you." But I honestly didn't know if that was true at all anymore. I didn't know if our family could possibly survive this terrible crisis we were facing together. Adrian wouldn't answer any of my desperate phone calls or text messages at all. His entire family stopped talking to me completely like I had a contagious disease. When I went to the grocery store to buy food, people whispered behind my back loudly enough for me to hear. At Leora's school events, other parents openly stared at me and pointed at me. Everyone in our small town believed I had cheated on my faithful husband. Everyone thought I had lied about who Leora's real father was all these years. And I had absolutely no way to prove them wrong about anything. I felt completely, utterly alone in the entire world now. I examined Victor's DNA report very, very carefully under good light at home. I used a bright lamp and even a magnifying glass to see all the tiny details. Something about it didn't look quite right to my eyes at all. The lab accreditation code at the top of the page seemed incomplete or incorrect somehow. The format of the paper itself looked old and outdated, not modern at all. Not like the modern DNA tests I had seen online in my research. I spent many hours researching carefully on the internet that night. I compared Victor's report to legitimate DNA test results from real, certified laboratories. There were definite differences between them that I could clearly see. Small differences, but they were definitely there if you looked closely enough. This report was completely fake and manufactured by someone deliberately. Victor had created entirely false results specifically designed to destroy my marriage and family. He wanted to publicly embarrass and humiliate me in front of everyone we knew. But I still didn't fully understand why he was doing this to me. What did he actually gain from destroying me and my family like this? I ordered a new DNA test from a real certified laboratory the very next day. I used money from my secret savings account that Adrian didn't know existed. I paid extra money to get the results back as fast as possible. And I absolutely didn't tell Adrian anything about what I was doing. If he knew what I was planning, he might try to stop me from getting the truth. Or even worse, he might accuse me of trying to cheat the system somehow. I had to do this completely alone without any help from anyone at all. The new DNA results arrived in the mail several weeks later by special courier service. A uniformed delivery man brought them directly to my front door. I opened the envelope carefully with shaking hands that could barely hold it steady. My hands were trembling so badly I could barely hold the paper steady enough to read it. The report was crystal clear and definite about the results. Adrian was Leora's biological father without any doubt whatsoever. 99.9% certain, it said clearly in bold letters. I immediately ran to Victor's guest house where Adrian was currently staying alone. I knocked on the door hard and urgently with my fist. When he opened it looking surprised to see me standing there, I shoved the paper at him urgently. "Look at this right now, Adrian," I said breathlessly, completely out of breath from running. "Proof. You're definitely her father. This is certified by a real laboratory." I genuinely thought he would be happy and relieved by this news. I thought he would finally apologize for doubting me all this time. But Adrian barely even glanced at the official report in his hands. "Maybe you paid someone to fake this one too, Natalie," he said coldly without any emotion. His voice had no warmth in it at all anymore toward me. I stared at him in complete disbelief at what he was saying to me. I couldn't believe what I was hearing from my own husband's mouth. "You seriously think I made up a certified lab report somehow?" I asked desperately. He just shrugged his shoulders casually like it didn't matter at all to him. My father wouldn't lie to me about something this important. That's when I finally, truly understood the situation I was in completely. 2 days later, the laboratory called me on my cell phone unexpectedly during the afternoon. A woman named Dr. Hayes was on the line speaking to me professionally. Her voice sounded very careful and professional, like she had bad news to deliver. "Mrs. Whitmore, we discovered something quite unusual in the test results," she said hesitantly. My stomach immediately dropped like a heavy stone. "What do you mean by unusual?" I asked nervously. She carefully explained that one specific DNA marker didn't match correctly the way it should have. It strongly suggested the possibility that maybe I wasn't Leora's biological mother after all. The room started spinning wildly around me when she said those impossible words. "That's absolutely impossible," I said desperately, my voice rising with panic and fear. "I gave birth to her myself 12 years ago. I have hospital records. I have photographs from the delivery room. Dr. Hayes said we needed more extensive tests to be completely sure about everything. A special kind of test called mitochondrial DNA testing, she explained to me. It traces the mother's family line definitively without any doubt or question. I hung up the phone feeling completely numb inside my entire body. I sat down on the couch and just stared at the blank wall in front of me. How could I possibly not be Leora's mother biologically? I had carried her for 9 long months inside my body. I felt her kick inside me every single day. I held her in my arms when she was first born. Nothing made any sense anymore in my life. And Victor had been strangely silent through all of this chaos and drama. Too silent and calm about everything happening. Too collected and composed while my life fell apart. What had he actually done 12 years ago at that hospital? I went to the hospital where Leora was born 12 years ago that week. I asked the records department for all my files and documents from that day. The nurse handed me a thick folder full of papers and medical notes from the birth. I read every single page carefully and thoroughly, looking for anything unusual or strange. Then I found something very strange and suspicious that caught my attention immediately. Leora had been taken to the NICU for a short period of time after her birth. The special intensive care unit for babies who need extra medical attention and monitoring. She had low birth weight, so they wanted to watch her carefully for a while. But there was a significant gap in the medical notes that didn't make any sense to me. 52 minutes with absolutely no nurse reports or documentation at all. No doctor signatures on any forms or paperwork. Nothing documented at all about that time period. Just empty, unexplained time with no record of what happened. Then I noticed the visitor log from that day very carefully. Victor had signed in during those exact 52 missing minutes on the official log. He had been alone with my newborn baby during that mysterious time period. I immediately asked for security camera footage from that day to see what actually happened. The hospital administrator said it was permanently deleted years ago during routine maintenance procedures. Regular system maintenance, they called it without any concern at all. Far too convenient and easy to believe. Victor had complete access to my vulnerable newborn daughter alone in that room. And now there was absolutely no proof of what actually happened during that time. What had he done during those missing 52 minutes with my baby? Adrian finally told me a terrible truth one night that changed everything for me. He came to the house very late at night looking absolutely terrible and exhausted. Like he hadn't slept properly in many days or eaten much food at all. He sat down heavily on the couch and put his head in his hands. "I need to tell you something important, Natalie," he said to me quietly. His voice was shaking badly with emotion and guilt. 3 years ago, Victor had convinced him to do a secret paternity test without my knowledge. Adrian took DNA samples from Leora without ever telling me what he was doing behind my back. He sent them to a private lab for testing. The test came back completely positive without any doubt. Adrian was definitely her biological father, 100% certain. But he never, ever told me about it or showed me the results. "Why did you hide that from me for so long?" I asked him angrily. I was so angry and hurt I was physically shaking all over my body. Adrian looked down at the floor, completely unable to meet my eyes at all. "Dad said it would upset you unnecessarily if you knew," he explained weakly. "He said you didn't need to know we had doubts about your faithfulness." For 3 entire years, my husband had carried this terrible secret inside him. For 3 long years, he had questioned our daughter's parentage while pretending everything was perfectly fine between us. He chose to keep completely quiet and hide the truth from me. He chose his father's manipulative advice over being honest and open with me. That betrayal hurt almost as much as everything else combined that had happened to me. I hired a tough lawyer to help me fight back against Victor's manipulation. Her name was Ms. Patterson and she had an excellent reputation in town for winning cases. I told her absolutely everything that had happened to our family over the years. She immediately started investigating Victor thoroughly and carefully with her team. She wanted to understand exactly why he was doing all of this to us. After 2 weeks of careful research and digging into records, she found the real answer. It was buried deep in Victor's will and estate documents. Ms. Patterson obtained a copy through the court system legally. There was a specific rule in the will about inheritance and money distribution. Money could only go to family members with proven biological connections to Victor himself. If Leora wasn't my biological daughter somehow, she couldn't inherit certain trust funds at all. The trusts required definite proof of the mother's bloodline to the family. Victor wasn't destroying my marriage just to be cruel and mean to me personally. He was strategically trying to cut Leora out of his estate completely and permanently. He wanted to make absolutely sure his wealth only went to real family members. My innocent daughter was just a financial problem to him that needed solving. Something inconvenient to get rid of so it wouldn't affect his plans for his money. I filed for divorce immediately the very next day. Not because of what Victor did to us, but because of Adrian's choices. He chose doubt over trust in me. He chose his father over his own family. Some things can't be fixed once they're completely broken. When someone tries so hard to prove you're fake, they're usually hiding their own lies. Trust your feelings when something seems wrong. Because sometimes that feeling is trying to save your life. I survived Victor's cruelty and manipulation. I exposed his lies to everyone. And now I'm finally free from him. Free from manipulation and control. Free from betrayal and pain. Free to build a new life for myself and Leora. Just me and my daughter. Together. Stronger than ever before.